And each of us, I believe, in that wanting something different, in that wanting something more, have come to know that we are powerful and that the mystical realms, the invisible realms, do matter, and that we do have contact with them. And we can decide to say that yes to life, and that life is listening. God is listening.
Wow, we are here in the same place together. That's so amazing. So, why are we here? And why are we online? Why are we at One Mountain, Many Paths? As Christina mentioned earlier, we talk about a planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies. So, let's talk about that a little bit. What do we mean by that? And why are we here? What's the intention? And this is just about as clarified as of an intention as you can get, right? And the reason we reiterate it every week, and Marc reiterates it every week, is because it's such a living, deep, profound intention that it never loses its luster, right? It's always alive. And on one hand, it's just the pleasure of transformation, coming together, growing together, learning together, discovering who we are together is enough, right? There's a pleasure of transformation. And on the other hand, in the same coin, the other side of the coin, we're actually facing existential crisis, right? Global crises all over. There's the climate change crisis, which is the obvious one, but we also have refugees crisis. We have the loss of topsoil and biodiversity. We have nuclear threats, overfishing the seas, depression and suicide are at all-time highs, right? We have extremes of obesity and malnutrition. We have famine, right? We're confronted by these global crises that we've never quite experienced before. And what happens when we experience crises? Well, it invites a new identity, right? So here we are in an evolutionary framework. This is an evolutionary community. And we see that whenever there's a crisis, that there's an invitation. Our crisis is a birth, right? Our crisis is an evolutionary driver to become more of who we're meant to become. So let's look at that for a little bit. And Marc always says is every crisis is a crisis of identity. So today, just to set our stage here, our context, our intention, I'm going to outline, I would love to outline here the trajectory of how evolution actually happens in the individual and in the collective, right? So we talk about individual development. A lot of us are here because we want to be developing, right, ourselves. But what does that have to do with evolution? Well, evolution develops through humans, right? Evolution, it manifests through humans as development. So what I want to do here with, God's grace, if you will, is chart out these three great stages of human history, these three great worldviews that brought us to where we are today and that invite us into our next stage of humanity, right? So we have the pre-modern, the modern, and the postmodern stages, the worldviews, right? And which something that's really exciting is that these are not just sort of theoretical ideas that some academic put on in some history book, that these three great stages, these three great worldviews actually live in us as individuals, right? So every collective stage correlates with an individual stage within ourselves. Okay, so if we could start with the pre-modern traditional worldview, and as I trace these, I want to invite us all to really feel into what is that experience like for us as individuals, as we have within us every previous stage of evolution that has come before us. So the pre-modern traditional worldview, that's a really big category. That's basically from the dawn of civilization until 1500. So it's a big sweeping worldview. And it represents basically this sort of in an individual, when individuals, and we can feel it in ourselves, there's basically three stages represented here. First is the self-centric stage, where it's about what I need right now, right here, right? And we can all feel into that. Whenever we feel into, oh, I have needs and I need to take care of myself and I need to eat food, I need to have shelter, right? Clothing, right? The sort of the basic drive to get what I need. Right? But that's not enough, right? If we survived on only that, it would only take us so far. So just as civilization evolved to have what we call group-centric stage of development. An individual also is able to experience that. So if we think about any time where we've kind of been in devotion to a larger group, right? Whether it's a church group or a family group or a religious or community organization or some corporation, right? We've conformed to a larger group, right? We also have the next stage, which is a skill-centric stage, which represents, as part of the group, I actually have a unique contribution to give to that group, right? So in individual experiences, we all can experience any time when we've sort of had some identity that we want to master a skill set or kind of have a profession that we have to advocate for and assert, right? And grow into, right? So the skill-centric or the expert stage within us is all of this is kind of, we can see the pre-modern or the traditional worldview as manifesting individually through each of us in these three stages here, right? But there's a crisis there, right? At the skill-centric stage, the traditional worldview experiences a crisis, right? What is the crisis? Well, the group or the authority can actually lead us astray, right? They don't know everything, right? Either the church or the company or the family can be oppressive, right? And when we feel that crisis, we respond because evolution is within us, right? Evolution is actually wanting more. And so evolution says, I have dignity. I have autonomy. I don't have to only look at the authority out there, but I have an authority in here, right? And so that actually births the modern rational scientific worldview that around 1500 AD emerged, right, out of the Dark Ages into the Renaissance. What is that like? Okay, we have the modern scientific worldview that actually looks at, we can see the world objectively, we can see the world through rational scientific lens, right? We can discover reality, we can make things happen. So anytime that you and I experience this, it's called the individual, it's the self-determining stage of individual development, or the achiever stage. So whenever we want to take ownership of our lives or kind of author our future or envision our goals and move towards them sort of systematically. Okay, so this is the modern rational worldview in the collective and the self-determining worldview in the individual. And just to note that this is the apex of what we call separate self-consciousness, when we feel that we can make everything happen ourselves, that I am independent, separate agent that can sort of make things happen out there in the world. I can achieve anything I want. Can we feel that? Can we feel that experience of when we're in that stage of our lives? And how many feel that there's a crisis there, right? There's a crisis that, wait a minute, I can't make everything happen. I have limitations. That there's seemingly some mysterious other force that also influences me. But I'm not the sole separate self that makes things happen in the world. And that happened maybe about 100, 150 years ago, and in the last 50 years in our culture, which is called the postmodern revolution, right? Postmodern stage of collective worldview development, of evolution, also called pluralism, when we start to see that, wait a minute, the dominant paradigm, the dominant narrative of culture, which is this self-determining achiever narrative, is not enough. And it's actually, it burns people out. It isolates people. It commits violence against our own bodies, right? And against the Earth's body. And I'm noticing right now I have a little violence in my own body, a little hot. Would you mind opening that window? It's we're trying to keep it soundproof, but then the downside is, there it is. Then there's no air. I gotta have air. Okay. So where were we? Postmodern revolution, right? Where we started to question our dominant culture, right? That this mainstream world, there's more to life. What's it all really for? We start to question reality, and that's what we call an individual development, the self-questioning stage, or the individualist. So maybe we break out of traditional gender roles, or we pursue a career that's a little bit alternative, or we break out of our stereotypes, or we learn to grow beyond our personality constructs, right? We explore feelings more, and dreams and visions and other non-rational ways of knowing. Can you feel that in yourself, of when you've started to feel that the journey was just as important as the destination, that these all other domains of my interior and the story of my life is actually so potent, right? So valuable. It's not just about, making money or making things happen, but there's something, right? That's something else out there. I'm not sure what it is. Now, the downside of when we get to this place, we realize, now, wait a minute, if there's just an endless journey and discovery, and everything seems to be relative, and, your journey is your journey, my journey is my journey. Everyone is kind of has their own story, and it's all culturally constructed. What happens when existential threats come our way? What happens when about a dozen different threats to civilization globally challenge our very existence? How can 7 billion individual stories that are not connected to something larger, that it's all relative, actually face these challenges? Mm-hmm. So the crisis here is actually, we get lost, right? We cannot stand up for anything with genuine power because we've pulled away from our power. We've demonized power. We sort of let go of our own power. We feel unmoored. We don't see an endpoint. There's no ground to stand on. So that's where we are today, right? In our culture, there's no ground to stand on. All the stories seem to be deconstructed, and everyone is sort of, has an opportunity to kind of a la carte version of their own story, and there's no obligation to something larger, and there's no field of something larger that we can devote ourselves to. So what's next, friends? What's next in the collective evolution of humanity, and what's next in our individual development, which is not separate, right? This is actually, that's why we come together, is that we want to inspire each other. So this is where we look for what we call the postmodern age, if you will. This is the integral revolution. This is Homo Amor, that we call it. As an individual, it's in the developmental theory, we call it the self-actualizing stage, or the strategist, or maybe the alchemist. But here we can call it unique self, where I realize that, wait a minute, I'm not a separate self, but I'm also not just kind of wandering in reality here, that there's a larger context. Yes, everything depends on context, but we realize that there is one context that's large enough to include everything, right? And that's this field of value that we talk about. So we can take a stand for value and see that, yeah, there's things that are relative, but really deep down, there are first principles and first values that build reality, that if we align with them, that if we attune to them, we can actually leverage them for participating in the evolution of society, to actually step up to that next level and have global cooperation. We can anytime, and so, if we have that yearning, that's an indicator that we're here, but also anytime that we are able to hold paradox, that we realize, wait a minute, that person is saying something true and that person is saying something true, there's got to be some way to weave those together into a larger whole. You notice that that's actually what evolution is, right? Weaving separate parts together to form a larger whole. So we are evolutionaries at this stage. We realize that we participate in evolution. We can create win-win solutions. We don't have to, win at the expense of someone else, right? So we weave together into this greater tapestry of reality, which, as Christina mentioned earlier, is that the universe is a love story. And so we're yearning to grow and to continue to participate in that love story, in that evolutionary love story, right? So I hope I was able to do that, set the intention, these 3 great stages of reality, of history, that are simultaneously expressing within ourselves. And to kind of encapsulate it all, I'm going to resonate this code here, which is a summation, basically, of what I just did here. So let's see. Copy and paste. Okay, here it is. Here's the code for this week. The unique self is the highest integration of the leading edge values of traditional, modern, and progressive thought, also known as pre-modern, modern, and postmodern. The emergence of unique self takes the value propositions of each of these three great stages in the evolution of consciousness, which is the evolution of love, and weaves them together in a new emergent of love, which is precisely what we have called Homo Amor. I can just feel it pulsating in me, and we can feel that all together, right? You feel that evolutionary impulse. This is what it feels like to be on this leading edge of emergent evolution, where we realize that we are unique selves and that we're evolutionaries. We're participating in the whole. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn my word to a sense maker for today, Christina.
Hello, everyone. Hi. Wow, David. Yes, evolution needs more from us. So what I want to do is really help us each deepen in being able to witness each other and to feel each other and to help each other really know in our bodies and our cells and our quarks and our hearts and our minds and our souls that we are part of this evolutionary process and that we are in deep relationship to it. So with that, I just want people to say hello in the chat box. So I see that Ujis just said something. So who else is here? We've got lots of people here, and I just want to present some of us. Becca, so good to see you. Amara, I see your name. Andrew, there's two Andrews. Let's just keep feeling each other in the chat box. Terry Nelson, Simona, hello Simona, Wendy, Tom Goddard, it's so good to feel you here. Oriana, hi Oriana. Who else is here? It's, oops, I'm messing up anyways. Yes, hi, Carrie and Lauren. And if I mispronounce anyone's name, I apologize. And Carol and Christian, Brian. Hello. Mark is preparing for the Eros Mystery School. And so he asked David and I yesterday if we would hold One Mountain, Many Paths. And we are so honored to do that. So that's where Mark is. Mark is doing beautifully well. And Viva, it's so great to feel you here. And hello, Viva is married to Ujis and lives in Latvia. And on this note of sort of feeling each other, and what I'm going to enter into with my evolutionary sense making is this is a very, very real community. And as someone who's entered this community about 5 years ago, who had been part of different communities, mostly locally, but also globally, I have a felt sense that I want to personally know every single person who's part of this community. And so one of the great opportunities that I've had is Ujis and Viva actually invited me to their home in Latvia, and I got to be with them and get to know Latvia and be intimate with that part of the world. And that's definitely a outrageous act of love that family gave to me, and is another example of the way in which that I've gotten to be intimate with a lot of people here. So I invite you to, whoever you are, to continue to weave yourself and your own desires and intimacies and needs into this community, because we are outrageous lovers, and it is a time of great existential crisis and great crisis. And it's so, I just find that without us, yeah, I'm gonna lose my mind, because we are on the edge of evolution very, very much. And so one of my questions in the sense making is, where is consciousness moving? What is happening in consciousness? And what is the evolution of consciousness? And how do we really feel that and participate in the evolution of consciousness? So in terms of the kind of relationship that we're at with the evolution of consciousness. As we talk about here all the time, the world is burning. The world is on fire. We are in deep and profound metacrisis. And so I just want to take a moment with each of us to feel the pain of what's going on in the world. I know so many of us have felt in our bodies the burning in Hawaii, in Maui, and now just yesterday or recently, another town completely burned up, or 90% of that town burned up in Canada. Since what happened in Maui, and the world is absolutely on fire. The whole boreal forest is on fire in Canada and the northern parts of this planet. And now there's a tropical storm bearing down on Baja Peninsula in Mexico and Southern California. So here we are in that, and we're not alone in that. And here we are facing that together, the pain of it, the realness of it, and what that's doing to our future and our capacity to vision. And so as we feel the pain, and I really feel the burning in my own body, from the animals to the humans to the insects to the plants. As we feel that, let's also feel each other and the love that we have for the life world, the love that we have for each other, for ourselves, for humanity, for life, for aliveness. Thank you. So here we are, looking together with our hearts at pain and also at love, but with our souls. We're standing in between worlds together. And recently, I've been listening to the new audiobook, Your Unique Self, which I want to give a big shout out to Terry Nelson, because he read Dr. Marc Gafni's book, Your Unique Self, and now it's available on Audible. And as someone who struggles to sit down and read, to be able to listen to a book, it's such a delight. So first of all, I really want to appreciate the devotion and the hard work that Dr. Marc Gafni gives us continuously, and that Terry Nelson is also continuously stepping into. And a quote that I just pulled out from my listening today from Your Unique Self is, are we willing to utter a sacred yes? And again, respond in the chat box, please. Are we willing to utter a sacred yes to our conscious participation in the evolution of consciousness, in the evolution of love? Yes, 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 yes. It's real. We know it's real because we know our interiors are real. We're with ourselves every moment of every day, right? And that consciousness is interpenetrated, interconnected into all of life. And even in this moment where we talk about this, we feel this, we feel that weaving between outrageous pain and outrageous love, we are rippling out into the whole cosmos, this sacred yes to life and to evolving consciousness. So thank you. So the choice is ours. And again, I'm continuing to pull from this glorious book, Your Unique Self. And Dr. Marc will be very happy to know that I've now read the book, Your Unique Self, because he's been encouraging me to read it since I met him 5 years ago, but it's been hard. So now I have. So another quote from Unique Self. In chapter 25, in the chapter called Say Yes. I guess it's not a quote, so I take that part back. Marc tells the story of John Lennon meeting Yoko Ono. And the story that he tells is that before they met each other, John was invited to an art opening of Yoko's, and he decided to go. He said a yes. And so he was curious about this, and he went to the gallery and he saw a white ladder. And he climbed up the white ladder. And then he saw a magnifying glass. And then he looked through the magnifying glass, and can you feel into John Lennon, one of the outrageous lovers of this world? I can feel his unique essence right now. That is a mystical practice right there. It's not just a memory. It's an integration and interpenetration with the cosmos, with the uniqueness of John Lennon and his life force. So here we are, embodying that together. We're in this field of each other, this field of the cosmos, in this field of John Lennon, in this field of the continuity of consciousness. And so there is John Lennon on the top of a white ladder at an art gallery, and he hasn't met Yoko Ono yet. And he's grabbing the little magnifying glass and he's looking through it, and there's a little word scrawled on the ceiling, and the word is yes. And that was what led him to Yoko. And so here we are in that yes as outrageous lovers, in that yes as people who are taking unique risks, in that yes of meeting other outrageous lovers. So the choice to say yes or no to life, to the whole, to outrageous love, to being an aware and integral part of evolution, that's our choice. And so right now together, again, I just am so enjoying Angel, hello, Becca, yes. Margie Hallett, yes. We are part of that evolutionary process. So can each of us go ahead and feel that in our bodies right now? Can you feel the way that you didn't just come from your mother or your mother and your father? You didn't just come from your grandparents. You didn't just come from your great-grandparents. You have come truly and completely from the beginning of all things. And such, like, if we really feel it together, again, like getting that feeling that we just were having of John Lennon in our bodies together, and have that same experience of the whole evolutionary process moving within us. And not just moving within us, but having the life force on our side, having the life force wanting to live more through us, between us, each of us, as we hold the fact that the world is burning. And that some people that, for instance, that I listen to, some of the doomers, I mean, they give us 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Like, what's an evolutionary process supposed to fucking do with that shit, right? Like, really facing like what some of the science says, what some of the tipping points of the earth say regarding what's going on, what the ice melting is doing to the world. Like, yes, this stuff is in motion. Yes, we are at that level of risks where some people can say we have decades left as humanity, as the evolution of consciousness in the human. But we here now get to feel all of that together, but we also get to feel that we want something different. And each of us, I believe, in that wanting something different, in that wanting something more, have come to know that we are powerful and that we do ripple out, and that the mystical realms, the invisible realms, do matter, and that we do have contact with them, and we can decide to say that yes to life, and that life is listening. God is listening. So let's see where we are in my notes, that is. Yes, singing yes to the universe. So just going back to what I wrote down here, we did come from the same place. And today I went on a walk, just as I was thinking about how I was going to show up today and what I was going to talk about. I was walking and I was letting myself, I was making the decision. I was inviting the trees to sway me and the wind to blow me and the grass to grow me as part of the whole. And so the trees, there was a horse that I had a conversation with. There was strangers riding by on their bikes that I had eye contact with. Yes, I was saying to all of it, yes, life, the continuity of life, the moving forward of life, the deepening of intimacies of all life for the sake of the whole. The human being is such a beautiful species, right? And here we are on the edge of our evolutionary process, being aware of that, being aware that we are billions of years in the making, and that we get to choose, do we want to continue along in this process of these billions of years? And yes, the mystery is way beyond our capacity to understand. And so no matter what happens, we are continuing the continuity of consciousness that Dr. Marc Gafni has talked about here so many times, and that so many of us know and feel in our bodies. We are continuing. We are absolutely continuing into the infinity of intimacy, into eternity. And yet we want to, or I'll speak for myself, absolutely. I want life to continue, the human being. I know that Homo sapiens can and are becoming Homo Amor for a planetary awakening in love through unique self symphonies. And here we are, as I walk around in my daily life, and I might be alone or not with other outrageous lovers, like the doubt, the crushing loneliness, these sorts of things, they can really like squeeze my capacity to believe or to know or to feel all of this or to handle all of this. But here we are together, and we are handling all of this, both the great hope and the great despair together. So we want intimacy. And as I was on that walk, the red berries on the bush, the intimacy I felt was astounding. The hairs on my face swaying with the wind, the buzz of the fly, the wood pigeon, the dove, woo-hooing, all of it, the rooster cock-a-doodle-dooing, becoming my own unique perspective, all of life surging through me and me surging through it. There was the wonder of the white of the morning glories. And it's just so astounding to me how all of this arises with such tremendous beauty. And yes, it does all die. It does all die. And then there's these cycles, these evolutionary cycles. And we are all engaged in this interpenetration every moment, this God force, life, evolution. Even now I can hear the doves out there doing their woohooing. So back to that wonderful audiobook, Your Unique Self. The evolution, this is a quote now. The evolutionary context, the realization consciousness is evolving, and that every generation is responsible for giving its own unique gift to the process. We are evolving, and we are evolving to affect the whole. And so, another quote, showing up, unique self, the democratization of enlightenment fosters the evolutionary we space of collective intelligence and creativity, which is essential for the healing and the transformation of the world. This is the next necessary step in the evolution of consciousness, which is the evolution of love, which is the evolution of God. So again, just feel that it's happening with us, in us, between us, through us, as us, right now. And not only is it happening, we're witnessing it, we're experiencing it, we're strengthening it, we're deepening it. And anything that happens in us like that is always happening all the way up and all the way down. So I honor that in each of you. And Carla and Becca and Ujis. Thank you, Carla. So sexy. Life is so sexy, isn't it? Yes. Hello, Lynn. Very nice. Let me see who else is here. Brad. Hi, Brad. So, how much time do I have left? 7:46. Okay, I think I'm just about done, but let's see what else I have to say. So, another quote: to wake up means to wake up to the evolutionary context in which we live and the evolutionary imperative that lives in us, through us, and as us. We are unique perspectives of evolution. So again, that's kind of just, it's reiterating what I've been saying, right? And what we're doing here and what we're witnessing in each other. And that's the part that I really want to leave you with, that we are together in this, being this, and it is powerful and it is scary. And it is like, wow, really? We have all this power. We really ripple out to all of the cosmos, what we desire, what we want, what we contribute. That matters to God. Yes, it's true. It's 1,000,000,000% true. So in that, to close, I want to say that we do this together. So take each of us with you. Every moment of every day. I witness you, you witness me. This is a we space. This we space doesn't go away. It will never go away. We open our hearts as love and we feel all the power, all the glory, all the love, all the goodness that ever was, is, or will be. We can feel it pouring into us, into this space, and into our lives, into our worlds, into this cosmos, and we raise it up. Hallelujah. Thank you. And now I turn my chair over to David Aton.
You're staying in the chair.
Oh,
Move over.
I'm staying here.
Move a
Make
bit
sure
more.
that, yeah.
Okay, one become two. Wow, wow. So this is the time when we actually go into prayer. Prayer. And one thing that you said, Christina, about the intimacy that you experience with the dove and the different creatures and the plants and the elements, the only reason that we could have intimacy is because we live in this field together, right? That we are unique selves. We are unique expressions of that field that we can share within a common experience, but we also have unique perspectives on that experience. So what's that have to do with prayer? Well, prayer is, we have words in the traditions that make it very kind of limited. Like I talk to this ethnocentric, homophobic God in the sky with a beard that happens to be white that, gives me what I want if I have the right prayers and the right rituals. But here we're actually recreating that and going to the deep first principles beneath it. And what does it mean? It means that the field of intimacy, which is infinite, right, is actually accessible to us. That because we are unique selves, we are unique expressions to the field, we can actually feel the field. And that field expresses itself personally with us, right? Because we have personal intimacies. So if we exponentialize that to the ultimate, then the ultimate is personally addressing us too, right? So in prayer, we actually turn to that field that is personally addressing us. We can call God, we can call it the infinite intimate, as Marc likes to say, and we commune with it, right? And so today, what I'd like for our, as we meditate to enter prayer, I would like us to focus on our yearnings. Our yearnings. Why our yearnings? Because the field, the whole, WHOLE, the infinity of intimacy, actually calls us through our yearnings. We yearn, and the cosmos yearns back, right? And because this quality of yearning is actually an expression of the evolutionary impulse that Christine and I have been discussing today, right? Is actually, it comes out through us. And so if we feel in deeply, we feel that this yearning actually expands. That if we tap into that radical aliveness, that erotic desire for union with all that is, that's seeking more deeper wholeness and greater connectivity with everything, we can actually expand from our egocentric intimacy. And I want you to, as I describe it, we can tap into it together, right? Our egocentric intimacy, meaning the intimacy with myself and my family, my close family, right? And as I invoke this, let's think about the prayers, the yearnings that we have for our family, for our own selves, for our own lives, right? And breathe into that. And again, feel yearning expand even bigger to our larger groups. Maybe we have extended family, to the various communities and organizations that we're connected to. Maybe a spiritual community like this one, right? We can actually feel and expand to those within our ethnocentric connections, right? Our groups, our nation, right? Feel into the yearning for the prayers for all those within our ethnocentric intimacy. And then we can continue to feel into that yearning, because the yearning doesn't stop. The yearning just gets deeper, it gets wider, gets more intimate with more of reality. So we expand to world-centric intimacy. We feel the Hawaiians that are suffering right now. We can feel the children in Syria and the families in Ukraine devastated. We can do our best to expand to every nation, every people, and beyond nations, right? And actually feel the refugees, the pregnant mother risking her life to cross the border into the US, for example. We can feel that they are actually, their lives and their destinies actually are interconnected with our own. So we breathe into that yearning, that prayer. And finally, we can continue to expand, and we can include more and more of reality to expand beyond our world, beyond even the human world, to expand to all non-human life, earlier life forms, less complex life forms, all the elements, past, present, and future, interiors and exteriors. We can be cosmocentrically intimate with all that is. And of course, it's a process, right? Our yearnings will continue to bring us closer to that. So as we feel into those yearnings, which are equal to our prayers, and that this universe, this cosmos actually feels our yearnings and actually responds to them, we're going to be putting our prayers into the chat box, our yearnings into the chat box. But this time we're going to do it in a little bit different way. We actually are going to be taking a unique risk here, Christina and I. And instead of playing Leonard Cohen, Hallelujah, which is what we usually do, we're going to chant. We're going to chant. And what is chant? Chant is an invocation, actually. It's not just background music. It's something that invokes and evokes the deepest interiors of our being. And this particular chant that we have relates to this topic today, which is, here we are confronting these existential crises from every side, and it feels like we're walking on a very narrow bridge. Imagine yourself up thousands of feet high, crossing from where we are today to where we're trying to go to save civilization, to move through these existential crises. We're crossing this bridge, barely able to stand. We look to either side, and what do we feel? A lot of times we feel fear, right? It is a narrow bridge. It's hard at times, and yet we can laugh at one side of our mouth and cry out of the other side of our mouth. So this chant is expressing this, but because we're evolutionaries, we can become bigger than that fear. We can recognize that evolution itself is motivating and animating us, and that every time we fall, every place we fall into the hands of our beloved, the infinite intimate. So shall we?
Let's.
Okay, here's the chant, and you can feel it, you can chant with us, and then at some point just write a prayer, a yearning, whether it's egocentric, ethnocentric, world-centric, cosmocentric, a yearning for this world. Olam kulo yeshet sameo, yeshet sameo. Yesher Sameo. Oh, Kulo. Yesher Sameo. Yesher Sameo. Yesher Sameo. The whole world is walking on a very narrow bridge, on a very narrow bridge, on a very narrow bridge. The whole world is walking on a very narrow bridge, on a very narrow bridge, on a very narrow bridge. Veheyakar, Veheyakar, lo le fahe, lo le fahe kla vehayakar, vehayakar, lo le fahe, lo le fahe kla. The essence is to have no fear, to have no fear at all. The essence is to have no fear at all. Hey, hey, oh, hey, 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 oh, hey, 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 ho, hey, 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 ho, hey, hey, ho. Let's read some of these prayers. Yes, lots of yearnings, yearnings, yearnings. I pray for erotic epiphany for all of us at Mystery School, says Becca. Yes, an orgasm, light pulsating through the world. Yes, healing wounds and opening hearts. Brad, yes, yes, yes. Prayers, yearning to love. Ujis, to surrender in ever-growing field of love and intimacy with wholemates. Yes, with us. Jacqueline, I yearn for a fairer world, a kinder world, a world brimming with outrageous love. Yes, amen. Carrie, I pray to the universe to return my lost fur baby Luna home to me. Oh, poor baby Luna. Amen. Find that home. Luke, I pray for rain. I'm on the west coast of Canada. Yes, Luke, may you find that rain and find the healing biosphere. Carol, I pray always to yearn for us to feel the dissolving of borders as we feel separation is an illusion. Yes, Terry. Yes, Rob. I pray that all of us find the inside of their existence and move from there in the world. And I believe that's Suzette. I pray for healing a broken world with outrageous love. Yes, yes, yes. Amen. And the prayers continue. Simona, Luke, Outrageous love healing. Oriana, yes, I pray for the world to awaken the heart of the universe. Inika, I pray for an inspiring mystery school, and there's perfect transition. So let's do that. Let's talk about that. And may these prayers just penetrate all of culture, all of society, all of reality, and all of our hearts. Amen. So what are we doing here? You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, what are we doing here? So we're doing Eros Mystery School, which is a 5-day retreat that starts tomorrow. And David's going to share the screen so that you can all see. So a lot of us, I think, here are already signed up. It says only 10 tickets left, but actually there's one in-person ticket. So like I said at the beginning, if you are in Europe and you want to hang out and you want to be moved by the unique experiences of these early morning practices, of the teachings of Dr. Marc Gafni, of the body work, of the de-armoring of Christina Kincaid, of the being in the field that we're all generating, that you can feel here today in One Mountain, Many Paths. We welcome you to join us. And there are many endless spots online. So you can go to erosmysteryschool.com/tickets, and you can sign up for the online experience if you haven't already. And as I said, Jamie Long and Margie Torres will be holding that space along with a bunch of other people like Suzanne, and we'll all dip in and say hello. So please do sign up if you haven't already. And that is what we are doing here.
Yeah.
And we come to the end of the hour, and boy, how amazing is our timing. So I want to appreciate that with us. And actually Jamie or Suzette and or Jamie, it looks like David is pulling up the song. So we'll go ahead and share that. And as we are sharing that, just before, we're going to start asking people to join us online so that we can all see each other. So please do accept that invitation and do come on so we can say hi even more and even deeper. So let that happen. And what else did I want to say? If you're not a member of One Mountain already, it's a wonderful small contribution, a couple cups of coffee that you can give to this community to help us hold the space, to help us build the community, to reach out to people, to get those emails out, and to just do all the amazing work that we do.